centimeters to be right. So if I go and move this guy over here, you can see that he's not quite right. So what's 2.54 divided by half? 1.27. So if we make our cylinder 1.27, that is how wide the barrel should be there. So if I rotate this out 90 degrees, and I move it inwards, that is how much of a lip we should have on this thing. So a very, very thin lip here. So I can take this and I can extrude inwards, inset this thing, until it matches that. So inset, right there. I'll say, okay. And now I know that is going to be correct. I'll delete this because we're not making the barrel right now. But I have an exact measurement that the barrel is going to be, which is really nice. So I can extrude this a negative amount, and I'm actually going to delete it, right? Same thing with this. Actually, before I do that, let's inset this guy the same amount. And then we'll extrude them. Actually, I don't even need to extrude them. I'll just delete them. I'll grab the borders. I need to delete this guy here. So I'll grab the borders here, and we'll just bridge them together. And now I'll delete this guy because we're not making the barrel. So that ring is this element here. That should be exactly that size, and it should be hollow because A, our barrel is going to go inside of it, so it has to have a hole in it. The next thing we need to do is we need to make a hole for this thing and then join these two pieces together. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say attach, and attach this guy to that. I'll use my, before I do anything, I'm going to reset the X form on this because I created it in one view. I want to make sure that my pivots line up here. So here I can see it's Y that points towards the front. So if I go and grab my Y position, 15.149, I'm going to copy that. And then I go and grab all the vertices that make up this guy. Oh, let's make sure that was right. Y, 149, yes, that's right. So these ones should be at 15.149 to make them flush with that one. Now the other thing is that I need to remove this chunk of this guy. Right? That should not be there. So first I'm going to go and get rid of this edge and this edge. Now the reason I want to do that is that if we look at the larger cylinder, there are two vertices down here. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4. So by removing these two, I now have the same number of edges up here as I do down here. That's going to make life a lot simpler for me if I just take these two and drop them down. Let's go find in Z the height of that. So it's 8.441. So I can grab these and type in 8.441. Now they're exactly where they should be, left and right.
Why couldn't you just bring them up?
Why don't I just bring them up?
Manually.
Because I want them to be exact. I don't want to have any holes. It has to be exactly in the right place. So this in X is at negative 0.236. This one should be 236, right? Because they're equal distances off center. So this one, negative 236. And this one, 236. I probably should have done the back at the same time. And then this one is going to be negative 236. Now those are exactly where they are. You can see that we're not getting any Z fighting with those. The next thing that I need to do is these ones don't quite line up. If we look at the front of our gun, we've got a little bit of a gap in here where they don't quite line up exactly with where they should be. Now I could go and move them, but I don't know exactly where they should be. So what I'm going to need to do is reposition them. Now I could put a new edge through my upper cylinder here, and weld it to that. But if I do that, it's going to change our multiples of 6 edges, right? We're going to end up with another edge through here. And that's actually going to make this thing less cylindrical when we make it. So what I'm instead going to do is I'm going to move it up here so that it moves out to this one. Now if we go look at our gun again, there's a definite corner that happens here, and it's not very straight. There we can barely see it. That's a little bit of a better view. You can see that it is just a rounded circle that's got a bit cut out of it, which is going to make a problem for us because we definitely need to have this come back in towards here. But what's going to be a lot easier is to move this up here, like that, put a new edge in here and bring that back. So that's what I'm going to do. So first we need to grab the height of this, and we'll move all 4 of these vertices up to that height. Now we'll grab the X of this, which is 0.679, and I'll paste it in here, and I'll paste it in here, keeping the negative without double. All right, so now that lines up correctly, but again, this is the wrong shape. So what I'm going to do is select these 2 edges and these 2 edges, and I'm going to connect them. Now, if I switch back to my vertices and I use my scale tool, I can scale these back in until I do have that bevel that's supposed to be there. Much better. Now you can see that this is also causing a problem in the way that it's being rendered, but that's because we have n-sided polygons all over the place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the larger cylinder and I'm going to say hide selection. That's going to hide it from view, so I can go and select these polygons and I can delete them because they don't need to be there. I'll then unhide all. I'll select the smaller cylinder and I'll hide it. So we notice that we need 1, 2, 3 of the very bottom ones. So if I hide selected, I can go into polygons and delete 1, 2, 3, and making sure they are the bottom ones, and I'll delete those. When I say unhide all, that brings these 2 pieces back, and watch, I'm going to grab open borders, which is the junction between these things, Control-click the vertices to select those vertices, and I'll just weld them together. So now, if I grab open borders, there'll be no holes in this whole mesh. It's nice and clean. Now the next thing that I need to do is I'm going to leave this edge in here that's helping keep the shape of the cylinder. The reason for that is that it's going to help keep the shape of the cylinder when we turbo smooth it. What I need to do is I'm going to actually get rid of this and this, which are not helping my shape at the moment. And I'm now going to go and manipulate this shape like so. So make some triangles here. Do the same thing in the front. Connect and connect. Get rid of this. And then I'll do the rest from the front here. So I'll grab these and connect, these and connect, these and connect, these and connect. Actually, I probably shouldn't do this. If I go back to my side view here, this should have a hole in it, the width of this cylinder. So what first thing I need to do is find the middle of this thing, which is going to be right here. I'll just connect these for the time being. That's the dead center of this. So if I go to my height, 8.051, or 005, 105. I'll go back to my side view and I'll make a little cylinder here. I'm going to make this match as close as I can the size of this thing. Again, this one I don't need to measure so much. I'm just going to get it as close as I can. Spin it out 90 degrees and bring it in here. I'm going to make sure that it's at 105 so that it lines up with the exact center of this one, right across here. So I know that this shape here is going to end up being this pin. So now, I'll go and remove this edge, and this edge, which are the same thing. Grab that, and I'm going to inset them. Not a lot, just a little bit. And the issue here is that, again, we're not going to end up with something that's incredibly round just because I've gone and cut the top of this thing off. But, I'll say that, if I scale this down, I should be able to reach a point where it does hit the same size. So I'll go to my front view here and hit F3. I'll move this up and hit F2 so I can see through it. And you can see how I can line it up to that one. I'm going to scale down a little bit more, like so. There, that works. I'm going to go to my vertices, and I'll just go and reposition these vertices so that they line up with the rest of my cylinder here. Now you can see I'm going to be short a couple of vertices. Here, here, and here there are 3, and I only have 2. So I'm going to need to make 2 additional vertices somewhere out of this. So the easiest way to do this here, I know this cylinder is in the right place, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use its positioning to recreate the other bits and pieces. So convert to editable poly. And if I grab the top position of this, get out of here, go into this one, grab this one, and paste that top position in here. That's actually, I eyeballed that exactly. We'll do the bottom ones here, these guys, 259. Grab this one, 259. And now we'll go grab the X positions here. So the X position of this is 184. I'm just going to remember 0.184, and I'll copy 12. I don't even need to copy that. I can remember both those numbers. So this one is 0.12. This one, 184. Right? 184 is negative 0.12. So that lines those things up there. I got the wrong height here. I lined them up to the wrong one, so we'll go and do this here. I'll bring this down. The Z is 8.313. Let's grab these two. The Z is 313. And now look, all those vertices are lined up exactly with where they should be. Now I need to connect this with 2 edges. What? Oh, there's only one doodad in there. Okay, I'll do it this way for now. Connect with 2 edges, like so. The reason I'm doing that is so that I can do this. So I'll stick to my edges and drag that up, and drag that up, and then I'll weld those. So there's 8 vertices. Now there are 4, so there's no hole in there anymore. And you can see that I've got triangle, triangle, and then this weird quad. So I'm going to end up changing the topology here to make it make more sense. But first, I just need to line this up again. So if I go here and grab that tall point, that high point, we're looking at 3, 4, 1. And so in this one, 3, 41. Okay. Oops. And that's also going to come in an X. Should have taken the X as well. 0.042. This one. 42. This one, negative 42. Okay. So that is now the proper shape for that. Now it would be nice to get rid of these triangles. Again, because we're going to be dealing with topology that is going to be turbo smoothed, triangles tend to have a little bit of a problem with turbo smoothing. Which is kind of crummy because we really need turbo smoothing for this to work. So I'm going to grab those and I'll delete this thing for now. We don't need it. Again, I'll go and bridge these 2 open areas so that that thing's complete. So what would be a lot better, because we have 2 triangles pointing at each other here, what would make a lot more sense would be to actually cut straight across here. That'll make a quad